This is Teachable Moments with April podcast, and you guessed it, I'm your host, April. If you're a returning listener and a part of the Teachable Moments with April podcast family, welcome back. For those who are checking me out for the first time, well, hello and welcome. To everyone listening, be encouraged and look for the teachable moments that are all around us. Enjoy. This is your host, April from Teachable Moments with April podcast. So I wanted to share something with you guys. I don't know if you guys are following what's going on in Chicago, and especially in regards to the Mundelein Park and the Austin community. Well, I received a newsletter that I'm just reading now, actually several, for this particular area from our alderman. And it says, as of today, the city has completed 3 walkthrough inspections of the property located at 1900 North Austin. As you know, this site was suggested as an alternate to closing a Mundelein Park and using that particular location on Austin as a shelter to house migrants. It says it appears to be it has enough room for what they need, and by doing that, it would prevent the use of that particular park as a shelter. The city, though, through its real estate broker, has started discussion with the owner of this particular property and his attorney regarding the use of that facility. This particular alderman says he remains hopeful that an agreement can be made and that would allow the use of this instead of what everyone is, speaking on, that they would like to keep that open because our resources here are very limited. Furthermore, I am thankful for my colleagues of the Chicago Aldermanic Black Caucus for their standing with me and making a request of Mayor Johnson to keep the park open and return the programs to the park. There have been at least 3 lawsuits filed with the clerk of the Circuit Court of Cook County seeking injunction or injunctive relief from the courts. Now, he says, I believe 2 cases have been consolidated and are currently pending before the court for hearing on a temporary restraining order. And then yet again, he thanks the residents of Austin and those that have come from all areas of the city to keep this resource as a viable one in Austin. So welcome back. So I saw some videos on YouTube last night showing from various channels here in Chicago about a protest at Bridington Park and the residents there. But then a little bit after I looked at that, I saw something else kind of come up, and I just wanted to share something from a website called Block Club Chicago, and it was posted I think 5 hours ago by Madison Savendra. I'm not sure if I'm saying her name right, and Colin Boyle. And it says, alderwoman in this case, attacked at protest over Bridington Park migrant tent camp. Now, last night when I looked at some of the footage of the people that were representative of the residents of this particular area in Chicago, they said that a couple of them said that they didn't do anything. They didn't touch her. So I'm just going to read a little bit of the content of what this particular blog is saying in regards to that. It says, Alderwoman Julia Ramirez, was escorted away when protesters swarmed her, and one of her staffers was hospitalized. Okay, people at the protest say they want to see more attention and resources directed to residents. Now, I didn't see any of that in the footage that I watched. They made sure that the different groups that are made up of that particular area. We're not part of that area of Chicago. We're part of Austin. I didn't see anyone touch anyone in any of the footage that I saw as they came up and they spoke. So there's a picture of the residents as well as CPD. And underneath it, the caption says, Chicago Police Department responds as Alderwoman Julia Ramirez, which is the 12th Ward, is allegedly assaulted as Brighton Park neighbors or residents gathered in protest at the site of a proposed migrant tent camp at 38th Street and California Avenue on October 19th, which was yesterday. They got signs. I don't necessarily see anything here. They said that the police had to whisk this alder person away to safety Thursday and one of her staffers, after the two were attacked at a protest about the city's plan to build an encampment. Now, when the cameras went elsewhere, they showed that they had actually already started. The police are investigating the violent act, in quotation marks, and Mayor Brandon Johnson said afterward, which they did when they gave some updates, he did issue a statement. It says nearly 100 protesters gathered Thursday morning to voice opposition to the city's plans for this particular site, saying officials haven't notified them properly about the proposed camp or taken their input into consideration. Ramirez, whose ward includes the site, was swarmed by protesters when she arrived, and people threw signs allegedly in her face, screamed and grabbed her, and shoved themselves against her as police officers worked to break up the crowd. Eventually, officers escorted the older woman away as a staffer for Ramirez. As they keep saying, they tried to shield her, both of them, helping her get into her car so she could leave. And it looks like there's something also on X, formerly known as Twitter, about that as well, along with a video feed, several of them. A mayoral spokesperson said one of Ramirez's ward staffers, they keep saying this over and over again, that she was hospitalized. They said that she was taken to St. Anthony Hospital in fair condition. Ramirez could not immediately be reached for comment afterward, but in a statement she said she'd been invited to Thursday's event so she could hear people's concerns. She says she tried to talk to them, but most did not want to have a peaceful dialogue, she said. As she left, a group of people surrounded, quotation marks, and began, this is also in quotation marks, began assaulting her and her staffer. I hear my residents and want them to know I will always advocate for their safety and ensure our communities and have the resources they deserve, she said in a statement. I also respect everyone's right to peacefully protest. However, violence and hate is not the answer. She goes on to say, I hope to continue to build bridges across the different communities in the 12th Ward as we address this crisis in a humane and compassionate way. Brighton Park should be a welcoming community to both existing residents and new arrivals. Ramirez said she is calling on Johnson's office for more transparency, accountability, and more local involvement in making decisions around shelters for migrants and determining if the tent camp is appropriate for the lot. Now, also on this particular blog, it shows a picture of Alderwoman Julia Ramirez's page for the 12th Ward on X. A statement from the 12th, it was also placed yesterday from the 12th Ward Alderwoman on today's protest and the temporary shelter at the 38th and California. Now, I'm not going to read the entire thing, and maybe some people who are listening may have already seen this since it's posted to X, but it says, I'm just going to skim down. It says, I understand residents are fearful and have concerns about the city's plan. I have the same concerns. I'm a born and raised resident of Brighton Park. I ran for alderwoman so that I could be in a position to address the years of disinvestment in my community. So you can see, if you're not already familiar with, a lot of the areas that are being picked are places where this is resounding, disinvestment, where the resources are very, 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 very restricted. And when you do get something, it is basically what the residents feel, it is literally shut down and given away. Okay. It says, I hear my residents and want them to know I will always advocate for their safety and ensure our communities have the resources they deserve. I also respect everyone's right to peacefully protest, which they already said. And then they go on to talk about violence and hate is not the answer. I hope to continue to build bridges across. They said that already. I call on the mayor's office. She just say at the beginning of this particular statement that it was a truly disappointing experience. As I was leaving the protest, a group of protesters surrounded me. Okay. She does say that the staffer has taken to the hospital is now in good condition. Then Johnson put out a statement, of course, saying that this was unacceptable. It says, I learned today that an alderwoman and an aide, while attempting to meet with constituents, were victims of a physical attack by the area residents. Johnson said in an emailed statement, my administration supports the right to peaceful protest and free speech, but this type of action against a public servant is unconscionable. Any violent act against an elected official in our city is unacceptable and must be condemned in the strongest terms. My office and the CPD are currently investigating this incident, and we will provide updates as they become available. Yeah, I did hear that they were investigating it. Okay, so then it goes down to say one protester's sign read, we don't want your migrants in Brighton Park nor McKinley Park. Others chanted something in Spanish that translates into, we don't want them here anywhere. And they were actually chanting in Spanish. Okay, so then it goes on to say, and this is the individual that I saw on a lot of the front and center for the local news here. A neighbor or resident of Jacqueline Zuniga said she and others feel stabbed in the back by the city's lack of notice and about the tent plan. She said there were no notices, there was nothing in the mail. She said Chicago wants to help, but we don't have the resources to help. Our vets and our homeless in America need to be prioritized over those of another country. And then they had, like I said, the first one I saw, they showed a gentleman. She wanted to, I have to say, she wanted each group, more or less, not that it comes to grouping people, off, but she had people from the Asian community, anyone that wanted to come forth and speak, people who are of Hispanic descent that are in Brighton, and also vets I forgot the man's name, and I feel bad that I forgot his name. Hold on. His name is Aaron. No, it's not. I did see Aaron Fan, but there was an older gentleman who is a vet, and he was saying that there's so many homeless people here in Chicago, not just in their area, but all over, and he doesn't feel like certain things their needs have not been met. And he finds it interesting. He's kind of hurt that they would bypass them and do this. And this is not uncommon. Anyone that's been following this, whether here in Chicago, New York, or other sanctuary cities, this is something that you will hear resoundingly over and over and over. So she said there was no notices, there was nothing in the mail. They want to help. They speak of the vets who served their country. Everyone talks about being patriotic, but this is a long-standing issue. When people come out of the service, they kind of fall through the cracks. And a lot of the groups of people that are representative of homeless, from what I understand, I'm no expert, are people who have served their country valiantly. So if we love the United States so much, why are they like this? They should be taken care of. Okay. It says Aaron Fawn, who lives near the site, said he's frustrated the city is concentrating on unvetted migrants in the area. I did see that gentleman. He goes on to say, and I understand where he's coming from, as soon as you say something like that, you are labeled as a racist. He says, we are not racist. Almost everyone in this neighborhood is an immigrant. Okay? Some protesters blocked trucks from accessing the site. I didn't know that. As site workers surveyed and worked on the land. So when I looked, they were still working. Now this young lady named Jacqueline Zoniga, she said that they work a lot of times all the way up to 10 to 11 at night. Okay. Now in our area, like I was saying, 200. Now in their area, what I did know, and I see in this article, it says that they intend to house 1,000 migrants. Okay. The winterized base camps were suggested by Mayor Brandon Johnson last month as a way to get thousands of migrants out of police stations and provide them a form of shelter as colder temperatures arrive. Now, a lot of people who are from other areas who have been making commentary on Chicago, okay, especially the Amundsen Park, and other areas, they had said that they had also been checking to see what the weather was like in Chicago. And it has already started. It's not snowing, and they are correct. It is cooler, going toward more colder temps, okay? Even though it's not snowing. Okay, so it's already starting. All right now. Okay, so it says critics have been vocal in their opposition of the plan and of Garda World Federal Services, the company that received a $29 million city contract to build the camps. But city leaders have defended the decision as necessary since more than 18,500 migrants have arrived to the city since August of 2022. Now, they said the influx of asylum seekers has overloaded the city's shelter system, leaving local leaders scrambling for more temporary housing for larger numbers of people as the weather cools, which has already started. Then it says about 3,600 people are sleeping in police station lobbies and at O'Hare Airport, according to the Office of Emergency Management and Communications, and about 11,200 people are living in city-run shelters as of Tuesday, which is up from 6,600 on August 31st. Now, there's some commentary from that particular alderwoman, Julia Ramirez. She says, previously said the Brighton Park lot is privately owned by the Sanchez Group. The site is currently being evaluated by city departments, the alderwoman said in a statement Sunday. Ramirez and city leaders are hosting a community meeting to share more details with the public. 6 p.m., October the 24th, at Thomas Kelly High School, which is located at 4136 South California Avenue. They go on to say, and in closing of this particular article, a proposal to build a tent camp on the far south side at Halstead and 115th Streets received similar backlash from the neighbors. It's unclear if the plan is moving forward. Wow. So like I said, I got this information in this segment from blockclubchicago.org, and they also have their own podcast, and by all means check them out. They say listen to It's All Good, a Block Club Chicago podcast. So go out there and support them and listen to their content on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and listen on Spotify. Oh, and also support one of the writers for this particular blog site. His name is Colin Boyle, and you can find him on X, aka Twitter, at Colin Photo and Colin at blockclubshy.org if you want to email him. You were just listening to Teachable Moments with April podcast. I truly hope you enjoyed this episode. We invite you to stay connected with us on the other social media platforms of ours, which is TikTok, Pinterest, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube. Also, we'd like to invite you to check out our official podcast landing page on podpage.com/teachable moments with April to see all our content in one place and leave personal messages, feedback, and more.